make it easy. It's still Golos, you know.
Almost for the end here. Like if we learn from the end text, then we have no paper.
No paper, so make copies.
Yes.
We're in the 21st centuries.
Yeah. So someone's going to say because we're not on the I guess I'm going to make two copies. So I guess start from here. Do you want to make two papers or one?
Zayin Ches.
That's it? Or just do Ches test?
Well, Zayin you have, so Ches Tes, yeah.
I'm thinking you want a double-sided. Oh yes, maybe make a double-sided.
If you're doing double-sided, I say you make Ches Tes Yud Aleph.
Yeah. Okay, I'll try. There's a button that says two-side. All towards the right.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to wait for him anyway. Talking about Meichen, just to point out what is so significant about Meichen. You remember them? A little bit?
It's basically where it's basically like a controller of the whole body. That's what you're saying.
It's one focus.
Huh?
It's on one focus. It's focused on one thing.
On one thing. I'll wait until Gesel comes because it's a really very central point in Chassidus, in Torah, in Yiddishkeit, in the human being. Maybe we should, I don't know. But these things get archived, and it's just get archived. And if this is off, they stop. Then you have a blank spot, blank space.
Yeah, I think it always records.
So the same thing, right? Might as well let him hear our Dvarim B'Teilim.
Is there a super which explains this idea?
What?
Is there a story which has to do with this idea?
A story?
Which has to do with this Meichen? Thinking that that's a good thing to substitute for this time.
Everybody experienced, at one time or another, in a big or a small way, a certain sense of, I know this. And you ask him, how do you know it? And the answer is, I just know. I just know. And I feel pretty confident about it. How much it has a clarity. What do you know? You don't know how you know. So what do you know? You know not by evidence, not by proof, not by physical demonstration. Everybody's with me in this? You know because that's what the truth is, from a Neshama perspective, from an intelligent perspective. You don't know it because you were exposed to it, because you experienced it, but because it's true. That's the truth. This is what the Rambam says. right in the beginning. I quote it all the time. But by now, everybody knows it by heart. Yisoid ha-yisoidis, v'yamud ha-chochmis, leida sheyashom motzui rishon, to know that there is a first being, mamtzi kol nimtza. How do you know the first being? You know there's a first being, and this is the yisoid, this is the amud ha-chochmis. What does that mean, amud ha-chochmis? It means that in order to employ chokhmah, you have to have this first knowledge. That means that this first knowledge is before chokhmah. If it's before chokhmah, so how do you know? Right? You didn't do any research, any investigation, any proofs. Before chokhmah, you cannot do any investigation. And you know. And that becomes the foundation of your chokhmah. Right? This is what the Rambam says. This is what the Rambam teaches us. What is the answer to this seeming paradox? Is that truth is beyond wisdom. There are two terms, true and truth. I'd like you to think for a moment and see what a profound difference there is between truth and true. True is an application of truth. In other words, you have a subject. You're talking about something, and you say, "Is this thing that you're going to talk? Is it true or is it not true? Is it raining right now? It's raining or it's not raining." So if somebody comes and says it's raining, so you're not going to suspect that he's lying to you. It's probably true. So you're not talking about the essential concept of truth. You're talking about, is it raining or is it not raining? Right? You understand what I'm saying? True is something which applies to a subject, to some kind of a occurrence, some kind of an entity. You're talking about something. It's not a concept independent of anything else. Yes, you were able to hear what we were talking about?
Not really.
Why? How come?
I think it's
So,
volume is lowered over there in the office.
What?
The true is not. The true is a scenario. I missed that one. You said true
True.
is a scenario.
In a scenario?
Is it in a scenario?
Yeah, true is, okay, you could say in a scenario. And I said in a subject. There is a subject. True.
When, like, I was referring to subject, right?
I'm sorry?
True is, the word true is used when like, a reference to subject.
When you're describing something, right? Is it true? You're talking about a subject. And then the question is it true or it's not true? That's what true is. True is what's called an adjective. Adjective, everybody knows what an adjective is? In Lashon Kodesh, it's Hashem HaToyer. You're describing something. You can't be metayr, nothing. Okay? That's true. Truth is a completely different concept. figures out. If somebody comes and says it's raining, and you verify that it's true, listen carefully. Try to get you. You verify that it's true, says it's true. Is it true because he said it, or is it true because it's raining? It's true because it's raining, not because of the fact that he said it. So he wasn't saying a truth. He was saying something that happened to be true. It's true not because he is saying it, but because he is talking about something that really happened. Truth is something that is true in and of itself. Not because of something having happened, of a subject. You understand? That's called truth. Truth we know without any proof. This is what the Rambam is saying. What is the foundation of all wisdom? Which means, what allows you to start developing your wisdom before you have any wisdom? What is the basis for wisdom? Is to know that there's a first being. Mamchikol means. How do you know there's a first being? If you have no wisdom. That's what I asked before. In other words, if you can't investigate and prove and find out and ask questions, come to a conclusion based on your research, so what are you saying? I know that there is a first being, and that's the foundation of all wisdom. Without wisdom, how can you know this principle? What's the answer? Wisdom can find, can detect, can investigate, can research if something happened or it didn't happen. But this is beyond did it happen or did not happen. This is a truth. A principal truth in and of itself. You don't need to go and find out, is it so? This is the reality itself. This is the knowledge that the person has in his nefesh. I know it because I know it. Not because it was proven to me. That's real, that's the foundation of all knowledge. I'll give you a chance. That's the foundation of all knowledge. This is what distinguishes a human being from an animal. An animal doesn't know anything unless it hit him in the head. You understand the allegory I'm using? Unless he's experienced it. Right? The Gemara says like this. A dog comes, a stray dog. Look, you have to feed animals too. But use your wisdom, the Gemara says. Give him his food, and then take a stick and hit him on the head. What?
Why did it?
Because he shouldn't come back next day. Give him his food, let him go elsewhere.
Is your own animal?
No, not your own. I'm talking about a stray dog. Right? You give him. But if you don't want him to come back again and again and again, hit him. That's what the Gemara says. Huh?
Animal won't be able to make the cheshbon and ask itself, is it a good trade-off?
No.
The animal will not make any cheshbon. I mean, when he gets hit, he got hit. That's clear. The Gemara does not mean you hit him and split his head. You hit him and say it's enough. Do you understand what I'm saying? This is the difference between a human being and an animal. A human being has knowledge that does not come to him exclusively through his experience. He has a knowledge based on what his neshama knows, what the truth is. This is what the Rambam says. The first thing is to have that, to experience and to relate to that truth that you have in your neshama. And that opens up the door and the window to your chokhmah. Because that's the basis of the wisdom. You know things because they are true in themselves, not because they were proven to you. Are based on truth. Don't steal. Mitzvah in the Torah, don't steal. There are two ways of looking at it. From the perspective of true and the perspective of truth. What is the true level? The true level is that if you steal, your neighbor is going to steal from you. And his neighbor is going to steal from him. And the whole society is going to fall apart. There's not going to be any sanctity to your property. You won't have a moment of peace. It's not a way to live. True. You understand?
This is what all of the ethics in the world are based on.
That's what it's based on. Then there is truth. Everything belongs to Hashem. The whole world belongs to you, and your neighbor belong to Hashem. You come to disturb Hashem's order. You're out of your mind. You understand?
I don't get why you're disturbing Hashem.
Hashem's order. The order that Hashem has set up in the world.
That's the difference between an animal and a human being.
An animal doesn't understand the second thing at all. Has absolutely no shaykhs. The first thing he does not understand, but he can experience it. Because if he goes and he steals, he gets hit. So he knows next time not to go. A human being understands it a little bit on a different level, but they're similar. A human being can predict ahead of time, the animal cannot. But it's a similar concept. It's only true. Circumstantially. What circumstantially? Under the circumstances, it's true. It's not truth. It's not a godly truth. Human being has a completely different capacity, a completely different level of knowledge. It's called, he can know truth. Where does truth come from? Truth comes from God. There's no other truth.
Maybe it doesn't see where it comes from, he just knows.
No. An animal cannot have that type of concept. Zero. Do you understand? Can you talk to an animal about truth? Don't steal because God said you shouldn't steal. Because it's disturbing the order of Hashem's creation. You with me? Huh? No, I don't want it to be halfway. I want it to be clear, because these are all foundations We're spending so much time because we want to have some kind of foundation of an insight. What we are talking about, what is reality? A human being has what's called moichin. Moichin. This is what we call moichin. To know something because it's true or truth. Not because it's true, not because it was proven to me, not because I can experience it. That's called moichin. This moichin element in a human being distinguishes the human being from everything else in the world. This moichin element in the human being makes the human being a real presence. The reason you can kill an animal and eat its meat, and God forbid to hurt a human being, is because of this moichin element. Because he's got a godly truth. He's not just true under certain circumstances. He's a godly truth. You know, don't touch. I need to see your excitement. This is a tremendous insight. If you don't fully get it, please tell me. You don't see what the significance of it.
What's the definition of mechan?
What?
What's the mechan first of the
But I explained before that you can know the truth. That's exclusively moichin. Only a human being has that capacity. Animals do not have that capacity. No? You get it? Therefore, moichin is what gives something as a reality. Without moichin, it's not real. A dog that will not steal because he'll get hit in the head does not have a real perception of what stealing is. Do you understand that? There's no reality to it. Do you understand that? Yeah?
Wasn't really paying attention because I was writing down other things.
I'm sorry?
So you gotta honestly, it's very hard for me to concentrate on something that you're saying and when I'm writing. I was writing
Okay,
down
so
something.
you should tell me, because I'm talking to
I
you.
was writing.
I know you're middle writing, you know. Look, I'm
I
not
get this
dictating.
Point, I miss that point, I get that point, I miss that
Fine,
point.
but anyway, so read to me what you will.
Okay. The whole thing?
Yeah.
Oh, well. Okay, this is all a side thing because this wasn't even on my mind. I think, so I mean, like, when you spoke about the truth, the true and truth. Okay?
Yeah.
So the difference between true and truth is, true is used when describing subjects. Truth is something that's true on its own. An example for true, when someone tells you that it's raining outside, that's true. So, okay, truth, I didn't really write anything about that because I think you can explain that later on. So this could help us understand how the Rambam can say, so the foundation to wisdom is to know Hashem's first being. So the question is, so how could a person know Hashem's first being if he doesn't have wisdom yet? So the answer is to know Hashem's first being. So to know that Hashem's first being, the stat is higher than Chachma. It's coming from the Neshama. Another way of explaining the truth, the difference between true and truth, is like the difference between animals and people. Stray animals know not to come back for food when they get hit. So, the Gemara says when stray animals come to you, feed them and then hit them in order that they can come back. The that was based on experience. People do things not because of experience, but because of their essence.
Because of?
Their essence. Something like that.
Fine. Okay, so you have it that far. Okay. Okay. So, do we understand this? I mean, I have a lot of other examples, all essentially emphasizing the same point. That we understand, right? And this is, again, this is real. This is a real knowledge. This which you know, because it's true, because not true, it's truth. That's the real thing. That's a reality. Because true, now what's relative to that, an animal also knows. Moichin applies to truth. This is why only human beings are capable of conceptualizing truth. And only human beings have moichin. And only human beings, as we spoke many, many times, have a true presence in the world. Like we said before, an animal, the Torah permits to take an animal and shecht it and kill it and eat it. Human being, it's most severe sin possible to touch a human being. Because the human being represents the godly truth in the world. Why? Because of the making, because of what he knows.
Moichin again is what exactly?
Moichin is this relating to the truth. Is moichin. Human life is not true, it's truth. Do you understand? Human life is based on truth. Meaning it's not based on my experience, it's an essential reality. This is why we always say, please tell me if I lose you, that a person, God forbid, who is on the last moments of life, he is totally, this is one difficulty that he had, he's totally incapable of doing anything, practically speaking, productive. And yet his life is to be guarded to the extreme extent. Chas v'shalom, somebody shortens his life by 1 second, he is guilty of murder. As is the deal. Because his life, human life, is not described by true, meaning what he's able to accomplish. You understand? What he's able to affect.
What about experience, right?
By experience. It's truth. It's a really godly presence. And that has to be cherished. It cannot be measured by anything.
Yeah, but how could this person that's lying on his bed, right? So how he's not using his moichin though. He's not using this idea about relating to the truth.
He is. He is. He's not elaborating on it, not talking about it. But this is what his life stands. This is what his life, the experience of his life consists in this. This is what a human being knows as long as he's alive. This is what his life means. But to be alive as a human being means this. To have this knowledge.
So let's say someone just forgot everything.
I'm sorry?
So let's say someone like forgot.
You forgot everything that you can only forget true. You cannot forget truth. Truth is an inherent recognition that comes from the soul.
So the fact that he's living shows us that he has this.
That's right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yes, the more we talk about it,
Yeah.
different show and stuff. Make it
Well,
okay.
we have to talk about it because these are principles without which we cannot understand Chassidus, and these are principles for which Chassidus is made, to understand these things. That's what Chassidus is about, to understand what the Neshama is. What is the first thing the Alter Rebbe introduces in Tanya?
About the scroll that person makes when he, unlike before he's born.
No, the first thing, not the person, the Neshama. The first thing he introduces is Neshama. All right. So, assuming that we got the point, 20%, 40%, 60%, 100%, I don't care. Somewhat, it made sense that there is such thing as truth. And this is what the Rambam is talking about. Later, and then the Rambam goes on and says, Me'amit is himotze nimtze kol nimtzoyim. From the truth of his presence, everything came to be. Okay? So, and the human being is exclusively the only creature in the whole world that relates to this principle. He knows it because it's true, not because he experienced it. Because it's proven to him. He knows it because it's impossible not to know it. It's everywhere. It's the only reality there is. That's how come he knows it. The animal is not capable of knowing it if you shove it down his throat. Because he doesn't have that neshama, that capacity. Again, this is called moichin. Meaning, moichin is referring to a state of being that relates to truth, relates to reality itself. That gives, moichin refers to something that's real, not relative, not based on consequence, like a dog. Okay, we said, we explained it all. You understand? That's what moichin is. Therefore, when we talk about Zohar and Malchus, we want to get to the core of Zohar and Malchus, you have to talk about the moichin, the moichin that's in Zohar and the moichin that's in Malchus.
So, is this something about Zohar?
Over here, that's how we got into this whole discussion. I'm going back to it, but this is how we got into the whole discussion in the first place. Talking about the moichin that's in Zohar, and the moichin that's in Malchus. So, the Rebbe mentions moichin. Where the moichin of Zohar come from, where the moichin of Malchus come from, I had to step back and explain what we're talking about in the same moichin all of a sudden. This is what triggered this whole discussion. Okay? Okay. So, if we are going to start 6 lines from the bottom, on page Zai. The line begins on Kulhi, with the word Kulhi. Prior to this line, the Rebbe explains that there is what's called Tselem Udmus. Tselem is when you are relating to the real thing, and the mus is something which is akin to it, which is similar to it, but not it itself. Zeh and Koi. We discussed that at long, great length. Zeh and Koi. All of that is what's called a moshel. To be able to understand the Indian that we're going to try to understand the way it is Lamaila. Lamaila, these inyonim, is in Zoh and Malchus. Zoh is called Ze'er Rampin. These are the spheres in Eilam HaAtzilus. The spheres Lamaila in Kedusha, the godly spheres, the godly midas, and Malchus is the Malchus in Atzilus. And in principle, Malchus is called Dmus, and Zoh is called Tselem. The Rebbe is going to explain how come. Okay? Let's go inside. Nimshol mizeh yuvel lamaylo. You have to recall that I explained that Zoh and Malchus, the motion for Zoh and Malchus for a human being, which is very similar, except at a much lower level, the human being. There is also that which is called Zoh and Malchus. Zoh is like all the koiches, seichel and midah is what a person feels and how a person acts. Malchus is the result of all of these midas. Like, for example, a poor person comes in and asks for tzedakah. So you're going to take a penny and give it to him. This act of giving him had to go through your moyach, your seichel, your midas, until you took your money and gave it to him. That which occurred in your mind, that which went through in your midas, in your feelings, that you don't see. That's internal. You see the external action. This is what we call malchus. How it affects externally. Now, malchus, this act, only reflects what took place in your mind and your heart. It won't reflect, it only reflects. It's only an external manifestation of it. How you actually feel and what you actually understand is not expressed in the action. It's the result of it. So relative, in comparison, what's in your mind and in your heart, this action is like a dmus. It's only a reflection of it. It's not the real thing. Hello? Yeah? What?
Which thing You're saying which is the most, that's the Ze'anpin.
I'm sorry, where
What
is
is the thing which is the most, you're talking about that's the Ze'anpin?
I can hear. Zeir Ampin.
Yeah, that's, the most is the Ze'anpin.
The mus,
That's the most.
the mus is Malchus. Zeir Ampin is the real thing. Like I say, an example in a person. Malchus is when you give him the money. Zeir Ampin is when you are actually considering, should I give him the money? Which is what's going through your mind and what's going through in your heart.
What is that? So when you get the sukkah, it's like as if you're giving. What is, I'm not understanding. What's
It's
the
not-
tie in the when you're giving and sukkah? I don't understand.
There is what's called a money changing machine. You know, you put in $1 and you get 4 quarters. Okay? Put in $1 and get 4 quarters. When the machine gives you the 4 quarters for $1, did the machine go through an emotional decision to give you that 4 quarters? What?
No, that's automatic.
No. A human being, you're asking a human being, give me 4 quarters for $1. Does he have to consider what he's doing? Or is it the same thing as a machine? I'm sorry? He has to consider. It's not a very deep emotional involvement, but there is an emotional involvement, an intellectual emotional involvement. I don't have time for you, leave me alone. It's also, a machine always has time. A human being says, look, I don't know what you want from me, I'm busy. I have to say, I don't know if I have, please just don't disturb me. It's also a decision. To allow you to come and disturb him and consider what you want and then look and see if I have, all that is a whole human decision process. When he finally gives you the 4 quarters, what do you see? The same thing that the machine does. But that's only a demus, that's only a reflection of what went through in the process. Right? During the process, it was a whole experience, human experience. This act itself, even a machine does something similar. Except by a human being, this reflects something that is deeper. A machine doesn't reflect anything.
So she's just automatically doing it, but like a person, he has to decide about it, and therefore so this act of giving is it's like and it's an outcome which is a liking of him. It's not actually him.
That's right. It's him on the level of Malchus, on the Mus level. Because it's a human being, he's a living human being. When he does it, it's a living human being doing. But you don't see all that process. This is called Tzelem Mus. And by human being, this is a real decision. Now, but this is what moichin is. He considers, yes, I should do it. No, I don't want to do it. Or it just happens automatically. Nothing happens automatically by human being because he is human, because he's got that moichin. Because he has that moichin, that's why a human being is responsible for his actions. This is why his actions have a very deep effect on him, on his neshama. If he does a wrong thing, he's affecting his neshama. If he does a good thing, he's affecting his neshama. Why? I'm just doing this action. The machine gives 4 quarters or doesn't give 4 quarters. It broke down. Does it affect the neshama of the machine? But human being, it affects it.
With that example, which one is the machine or the person is telling which one is the person is the tell?
What? The machine is neither tzelem nor demus.
And a person?
A person has both. In his consideration and his emotion and his seichel is the tzelem. And in his action is the demus.
Machine is nothing because it's just
There's no moichin. Machine has no moichin. So it's neither tzelem nor demus. Machine has no moichin, the dog has no moichin, the cat has no moichin, and the goat has no moichin. Animals don't have moichin. If you hit the dog on the head and the dog doesn't come back the next day, is it because the dog considered, I don't think this guy likes me, I'm not going to go back to him? So go back, you guys will get hit. Couldn't care less whether you like him or not. Right? Because the dog does not understand, has no relation, has no concept of the truth. Couldn't care less whether it's true. A human being, if you look at him the wrong way, he won't come back. Hey, this guy, he's not a good person. He really doesn't like it. I don't want anything to do with him. You understand? It's a completely different experience. Okay, so now we touched on tzelem and demus. Tzelem is where you're talking about the real thing. And demus is that which is the real thing, but in reflection. But it's also based on the real thing. It also has moichin. And this is what the Rebbe says over here. We have to do a little bit inside today. We'll come back next day. Okay, the line begins with kulhib, which is 6 lines from the bottom of page Zion. B'hanimshal mizeh yuvon lamayla. The nimshal from tzelem and the mus will help us to understand the lamayla. Bebchina zo malchus, which would be in the inyanim lamayla as they are in zo and malchus. Zo again is the seichel and moichin and midas al atzilus, the spheres, and malchus is the final act. The malchus is like dibur, like I said last time. The melech commands by speaking.
Zoh is the Chabad business?
What?
Zoh also comprises of the Chabad.
Zoh also comprises, in a broader sense, it comprises also Chabad. And more specifically, Zoh refers to midas. But in general, but it also comprises Chabad because the midas have an aspect of Chabad in them. The midas of Atzilus. In general, all the spheres of Atzilus are called Zoh. In general, specifically, we have the Meichin and midas. So the Zoh who bechinas Tzelem. Zoh is in the category of Tzelem. It is. Why is it? Because this is Tzura bechinas Tzura Atzmis. It is the Tzura Atzmis. It's the real Tzura. The Tzura of the real Elokus that's in Atzilus. Why does Zoh possess that type of tzelem, that type of tzura, atzmus, lefi, because shemekabel hamoichin me'avo atzmon, because Zoh receives the moichin from Avo itself. Okay, now, we are going to discuss Avo Atzmon. We're not going to discuss moichin again, because that was the whole thing, and 3 days we spent on that. Moichin means the principle that there is a reality there. Zoh has a sense of reality, of godly reality. It's not just acting circumstantially. It reflects the real truth of Elokus. That's moichin. And Zoh receives the moichin from Avo Atzma. Avo means from Chochma and Bina, from Avo Ein. Chochma and Bina, this is the real inyan of Elokus. This is the real moichin. How things are in Chochma and Bina, not how they are reflected in action or even in feeling, in midas, but as they are in Avo. This is why they're called Tzelem, because they reflect the midas of Zoh, reflect the truth as it is in the real truth in Avo, in Chochma and Bina. Haremeir by bechinas etzem ha'oir, and therefore, since it receives the moichin from Avo, therefore in Zoh is meir the etzem ha'oir. Etzem ha'oir, we explained just now, goes great length, that in moichin there is etzem ha'oir. Now it's the truth itself, not true, but truth. It's called etzem ha'oir. That's recognized in moichin. And they come from Avo. Avo has the etzem ha'oir. And this is why Zoh, we say, is called Etzelem. For this reason, Zoh also is called Aspaklario HaMayiro, a bright sighting, a bright view. Aspaklario means a view, as a clear view. Meiro.
So Hamir is clear?
Yeah, shining, bright.
So it's a bright view?
Yeah.
So how come I heard it translated as like a magnifying glass, no?
That is to explain what it means, a bright view. For children, we translate in the children's mimer, we translate it as aggressor and goes in expansion. As the sighting alidei aspaklario hameiro. When you see things through a bright vision, to a bright, like if you shine light on something clearly, you see it very clearly. Then you see the very reality itself, the truth itself. They came similarly in Zoh, meir bechinas etzem ha'oir. In Zoh, there is this bechina, this aspect of etzem ha'oir. Again, etzem ha'oir means the truth itself. Not true, but truth. Called etzem ha'oir. And that is recognized in Zoh, because the moichin of Zoh have that sense, have that recognition of etzem ha'oir. Okay? So we'll have to interrupt now, so it pass our time, but we made progress, I hope. If you have any questions, you're not clear, I'd like you to reflect on it. These are principal things. It may be a little bit advanced, but you don't have time to play around. We have to get advanced quickly, because we are starting, at this advanced age. You're not 70, but not so far away from it.
What's the switch to this on the next line that we didn't do? Not going to be on next week.
Okay. Masha'enkin bechinas malchus, whereas malchus, nikro aspakvario she'ena meira. Okay? All right.